Our next speaker is Mick Clifford, Managing Director and CEO of Zenith Minerals.
Thanks all, and thanks to Paydirt. And you're not ecstatic about the graveyard shift, but thank you all for lasting till the very end. With Zenith Minerals, we've got a very clean structure. The company's been around for 15 years, as Michael Naylor mentioned early on. Market cap, we're actually up to about 150 million market cap at the moment. We have a lot of cash and liquids, probably in the order of $24 million worth. The listed equities came about by asset sales, where we decided to take equity in various listed companies, which is showing faith in those projects, showing faith in the companies that took on those projects, and also showing faith in the metals boom that we're in and going forward. We've had some significant share price appreciation, as you can see on the slide on the left, partly underpinned by a major zinc discovery in Waratah by our joint venture partner Rumble Resources back in April 2021. We also had another big jump with the signing in January this year with the EV Metals Zenith Lithium joint venture that has seen a refocusing of the company's efforts into lithium and battery metals. And also more recently, as Monday this week, when we announced what appears to be a pretty interesting discovery down at our Split Rocks project, which is just up the road from Wesfarmers SQM's Mount Holland lithium project, which is under construction. So where to from here with Zenith? If you look back at us in about November, December last year, we were focused very much on our base metals and gold assets, and that's everything that sits in yellow on this current slide. If we look at Erahidi alone, the see-through value of that 25% should be up around $100 million, based on the market capitalisation of Rumble, who have got 75% and are managing the project. We have a free carried interest on that project through to the completion of a bankable feasibility study. There's about 5 drill rigs active on the joint venture at the moment, currently drilling out zinc, probably heading towards resources early next year, over a strike length of around 18 kilometres in what is probably one of the best zinc discoveries in the world in recent times. We have advanced projects at Devlin Creek with JORC Resources over in Queensland. We have gold assets also at Split Rocks, which we currently have drill rigs active on. I should mention as well, we're also core drilling at Devlin Creek on those JORC Resources. And other gold assets in Queensland and New South Wales with exciting targets and a growing portfolio. In fact, we'll be announcing some new projects coming into that portion of the portfolio. With the transformational deal that we completed with the EV Metals Group, we've decided to refocus the core of Zenith on battery metals, and underpinned by 2 major joint ventures across lithium assets at Split Rocks and Waratah World. And as Michael mentioned, we're also looking at numerous other opportunities, particularly in Western Australia, for lithium exploration, both at the greenfields level and also through onto much more advanced stage assets. So we're looking at demerging and listing off the base metal and gold assets. We aim to have this completed by the second half of this year. And I guess the old adage, if you buy one, you get one free, we'll be looking at doing an in-specie distribution of those shares back to shareholders. We envisage a market cap for the demerged gold assets of around 75 million. Funding's already in place of around $10 million. A couple of $1 million worth of equities to go across as well. And we're just wrapping a board and management team around those assets to allow it to accelerate and go forward. Michael already earlier on with the EV Metals Group introduced the lithium joint venture, so I won't go back over the terms of that. Suffice to say that there's a number of the EV Metals team sitting in the audience here today, and we have a fantastic working relationship with those people. It brings together the strengths of the generative skills, the exploration skills, of Zenith Minerals, particularly with the capital, the processing, and the metallurgical capability of the EV Metals Group. So it really is a synergistic relationship, and one that we're very excited to be a part of, and really looking forward to advancing our exploration assets. So the two of those, Waratah and Split Rocks, I'll touch on Split Rocks first. The little red blob down in the bottom corner here is Mount Holland. That's one of the, it's probably the top 4 lithium spodumene deposits in the world. It's owned by Wesfarmers and SQM. Around 189 million tonnes at 1.5% lithium. And we have on their doorstep 660 square kilometres of tenure. We picked this ground up about the same time as the former owner Kidman was hunting around in the core yard and pulling out sticks of pegmatite with spodumene and busy making what is this world-class discovery. We recognised that the Parker Dome, the major granite up in the northeast corner of the map there, had some of the chemistry that looked like it was elevated in lithium. Could have been potentially the parent magma or the parent granite to some of these lithium granites. And so we went on a bit of a pegging spree and pretty much didn't stop till we hoovered up all the ground that was available along strike. We did explore for lithium about 4 or 5 years ago in the start of the first boom. We were somewhat constrained by capital and did a bit of a piecemeal job, frankly, with drilling a few historic pegmatites, doing some soil geochemistry where it was easy to do, but as I said, constrained by funding at the time. With the EV Metals Group, we signed the deal in January. We had permits of work in place. Within a couple of weeks, we started drilling. A couple of weeks later, the second hole of the program hit 20 metres at 1% lithium, including 10 metres at 1.7% in the Rio pegmatite. This was one fence of 200 metre space drill holes on a 400 metre step out from some old nickel diamond holes that intersected 65 metre thick pegmatites. So not a bad effort from the first drill program of the season and under the joint venture. Along strike, if you look at that purple pinkish zone, that's 20 kilometres. And we've drilled another 3 pegmatite bodies that we know about that are based on historic air core drilling, where the air core holes have just touched into some kaolinite and quartz and maybe a couple of mica flakes where the historic geos have gone, oh, we think that's a pegmatite. So chemically, we know that they're probably not very adequate samples and they're probably likely to be highly depleted. So the approach is to come in with some fences of deep, 200 metre deep RC holes to really get a good look at these pegmatites and see what they are as an initial first pass test. So at Dulce West, we've got pegmatites that are 70 metres thick. Estrella, which was also one of our gold prospects, pegmatites that are 29 metres thick. And at British Hills, we've been hitting pegmatites up to 111 metres in thickness, with some of those holes, even up at Rio, ending in pegmatite. So we really do not, as yet, have a good idea as to the extent of these pegmatites. Several of them are kilometres long, undrilled, untested along strike. So you can see that we're going to be bunkered down, doing a lot of drilling within that 20 kilometre zone, over the next year or two. So you can see here the cross-section from Rio and the second hole in gave us this great intersection of 20 metres at 1% with the higher grade portion. Mineralisation is a little bit unusual in its mineralogy in that it's eucryptite, and once we got those XRD analysis, it had us all diving for Dr. Google and trying to make sure we really understood what that meant. So eucryptite forms within a similar temperature and pressure sort of field in general to spodumene and petalite, but is generally at the lower temperature, lower pressure end. In some cases, the eucryptite can form from a retrograde alteration, so for the geos, you understand that. Others, basically the pegmatite stews in its own juices and changes some of the minerals, and spodumene can revert, or pedalite can revert back to eucryptite. On the processing front, we're not even sure how this may treat. It may be better, it may be worse, we're not sure, than spodumene. But one thing it does have going for it is that it contains, pure eucryptite contains 11% lithium, as opposed to spodumene only containing 8%. So there may be some advantages going forward if we can actually find enough of this eucryptite. From an exploration sense, we think we're very, very close in this eucryptite pedalite spodumene field to the actual main prize, what we're looking for in being spodumene. So we feel that it's likely in step-out drilling that we'll get a change in chemistry, change in mineralogy, and get into the spodumene portions of these big pegmatites. In terms of what we're doing in the rest of the region, the approach with EVM Group is not to muck around with small grids, but basically start in the top right-hand corner and finish in the bottom left. And let's just get geochem coverage over the entire tenement package. So where we're at the moment is we've collected another 3,000 samples. You can see one of the auger rigs sitting there down in the photo. And that blue area is what we've covered to date and completed. The grey area is the next round of the grid. And then we'll work up through the rest of those areas and keep exploring. We have some existing soil anomalies, those red blobs that we generated in some of the previous work we did. We know from some of our exploration activity with air core drilling that there are some pegmatites around. We've just permitted another 3 of those targets with another 11 holes that are through now, and the rig will just jump back off some of the gold work it's doing and go back onto exploring for lithium. And we expect to have those drilled within the next couple of weeks. We've permitted another, or in the process of permitting another 50 or so RC diamond holes to complete or start the step-out drilling from the what we hope is the discovery hole at Rio. And we expect that they'll be through in another 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll be kicking off follow-up drilling thereafter. Our other project that we've been active upon and started drilling almost immediately on signing the joint venture is our Waratah well project, which is located between Geraldton and Yalgoo. It's an LCT pegmatite field. Pegmatites extend over 3 by 2 kilometres. High-grade lithium, high-grade tantalum throughout those pegmatites. We did a round of first pass drilling with 1 kilometre spaced deep RC holes to really look at the mineralogy and look at the vectors on where we should be going within this field. We intersected reasonable mineralisation in a couple of the holes through the centre at that very wide 1 kilometre spacing. This is lithium mica mineralisation with holmquistite, which is the amphibole that's telling us that this is a really juiced up fluid, lithium-rich fluid generated in by these pegmatites. It's not the mineralogy we want, but we're now going to go chasing undercover off to the northeast under soil cover with an additional series of step-outs over the next 2 kilometres. So I think we can summarise pretty quickly here in terms of a great opportunity for investors, for current investors, and also for new investors to get involved with, potentially a new lithium discovery at Split Rocks, to get involvement with a group that has a long history in exploration and discovery. A lot of our background is in the gold fields, exploring for gold within amongst our team. And we're of the firm belief that the next discoveries of the lithium deposits will be in undercover. We understand what it takes to find deposits undercover. I think everyone's been pretty lucky so far, apart from Dave across here, and I know another Dave Richards, with his discovery at Buldania. Apart from those two, there's been virtually no discoveries in my mind. They've been just walk-up drill-outs of known spodumene deposits. So really the challenge starts now for us to find new lithium spodumene deposits undercover. I think there's a well set out recipe of how we go about attacking that. And I think we've got the team and the know-how and now the financial clout behind us to be able to complete that task.